I can safely say that the financial budget is probably one of the most important times for any investor, any taxpayer, or individual of a country, right? So today we heard the new finance budget, and I want to share my 9 points overview on this. My name is Arpit Arora. I'm India's leading personal finance expert and passive income coach. I simply am working on the mission that no one in India would really have to worry about money. They can enjoy their life around money in such a way that money comes to them easily. They're not affected by money issues, money problems. They are living their life with absolute peace and joy, and most importantly, they are inspired to follow their passion. So, on this quest, I would like to share with you the 9 point budget overview of what we heard today. So, let's start with some facts. First fact is that we've seen up to almost 3 rounds of COVID happening, but despite that, our the GST revenues are at the all-time peak of 1.4 lakh crores. ये clearly बता रहा है कि India is resilient as a nation. We're highly resilient to what has happened because of COVID. So it's a great bounce back from COVID. Although some sectors are not doing very well, but broadly speaking, GST revenue clearly shows that more people are able to overcome the COVID issue problems and things are going all right with India in corporate, which is the limelight. And this point is very important because this is going to be the limelight of what I'm going to tell you next. And that is the same thought process the finance minister also had. The second point is the focus area. The second focus area for the finance minister is capital expenditure, which means the central government wants to infuse almost 11 lakh crores in the economy to create more in infrastructure, more in jobs, and so many other places. They want to infuse more capital to be able to create more growth in the economy. So the finance minister is not conservative, it's not defensive anymore, they are aggressive when it comes to the economy, which is why such a big amount has been allocated towards capital expenditure. Another area of focus for this budget was job creation and supporting startups. So what they've done is the finance minister has taken out various small measures to help people who are unemployed, who can seek employment in various avenues the government is investing in. And most importantly, for people who already registered as startups or thinking of doing so, they are going to get 1 more year of exemption on the profits, the tax they have to pay on their profits. So this is an amazing thing, and this applies to all those startups, and startups are those entities which have 25 crores say less than turnover. So your turnover should be less than 25 crores. You should be registered startup with the government. If you're doing that, amazing, because you don't have to pay any taxes for 1 more year. That's an extension. The fourth thing which is coming from this only is the ease of exits from startups, unlisted shares, unicorns. So all those companies which are not listed on the stock exchange, if you have invested in them, if you're considering to invest in them, there's a surcharge being levied when you exit in profit. That surcharge has been reduced from 28.5% to 23%, which is again showing that government wants to promote startups. This is another extension of point number 3 itself. Also good for investors because maybe founding investors, it promotes them to not have to pay high taxes and they can sell a part of their equity. For investors or VCs, they have an opportunity to support these startups by investing into them without having to pay high taxes. So for both, it's a good measure for sure. It's really going to help the culture of startup to grow even further in India. Then talking about the virtual digital assets like cryptocurrency, NFTs, a lot of talk has been happening around this region, and there was a lot of ambiguity. People were नहीं समझ पा रहे थे लोग कि क्या टैक्स होगा इसके ऊपर. कुछ लोग कह रहे थे कि 30% फ्लैट होगा, कुछ लोग कह रहे थे कि लॉन्ग टर्म शॉर्ट टर्म होगा. A lot of ambiguity was there, and finally they have put it to rest. 30% is the flat tax you pay if you buy NFTs or crypto or any other digital asset, virtual digital asset. And in case you make a loss in this, it won't be set off with any other assets. So they've kind of put this into highest taxation as much as possible. It also shows the government really doesn't want you to invest into virtual digital assets, which is exactly point number 6 has come up. That RBI is launching its own digital rupee, which is going to be backed by blockchain technology, which means it will be decentralized. Now, in some of my videos in the past, I did say they might not be able to do it because how can a central bank have a decentralized currency? But apparently they are. In 2022-23, which is this financial year, they will be launching it. What I've heard from RBI's governor in the past, he said there will be two type of digital currencies, one for B2B, which is business to business, one is for B2C, which is for retail consumers like us. So again, we need to wait to see exactly what it is, and I'm sure more details will come from the RBI's governor. Point number 7 is benefits for HNIs. So a lot of HNI investors had to pay a lot of surcharge as their income increased from 2 crores to 5 crores. So they had to pay up to 28.5% surcharge on the long-term capital gains coming out of their investments into equity shares or other assets. Now, what the finance minister has said that you don't have, irrespective whatever your income is, your long-term capital gains with the surcharge there is going to be, that's going to be flat at 15%. So that really saves on that benefit which ultra HNI investors can have, because they were the ones paying that extra tax. Now they won't have to. So that will be capped at 15%. It's a good initiative, definitely helping the HNIs to pump in more money without having to worry about changing their tax structures, so on and so forth. Point number 8 is very, very interesting. This is probably one of the best things they have done in the structuring of how the governance of how taxation is taken into consideration. Is if you are filing your returns today, you'll get 2 more years to self-correct your tax. In case you feel you have underpaid, you will have a chance to change your ITR, its filing, and then pay the additional tax. Obviously, this is before you are being scrutinized that you have paid less tax. This is coming from self-assessment, realizing from self that you've done a mistake. Most of the times, if you've done it in the past, rather, if you've done it, you don't really have a chance to change it. Now, this window is for 2 years, which is amazing. I think it's really, really good. Point number 9 is focusing on long-term growth. So the overall theme, what I understood, is that the focus will be on long-term growth for the government, which means there will be high inflation coming, which means that degrading of your money kept in the bank will continue to happen, which means that commodity prices will keep on increasing, which means that cost of living is going to be high. So this is a very, very important thing, because the RBI, the finance minister, is not worried about these things. They're going to tackle it in the coming years. For this year, the theme is long-term growth itself. So here is my conclusion. What we saw in this, that this budget wasn't really friendly for middle class. There wasn't much for middle class in this at all. There was no tax relief. There were no change in taxation structure. A lot of people were talking about increasing the limit of ATC. None of that. The growth was the theme of the budget, in terms of focus mostly on infrastructure, startups, capital expenditure by the government, and promoting startups. These were the main key things. The stone that they've laid in the past few years is the same journey they want to continue. They don't want to make a lot of change. So here is the action that I look at from this budget, is refraining from virtual digital assets, which is VDA, like cryptocurrency, because they're charged at very high interest rates, tax rates, and on top of this, there is no law set off, and it really shows the government is clearly hinting that they don't want you to invest in this space, which is why they are increasing the tax. The same way government doesn't want you to, you can say, let me give you an example rather, tobacco, right? The health part of the government doesn't want you to consume cigarettes, but government also still wants revenue. So they tax cigarettes at the highest rate as much as possible. The same thing, if that similar example you can use in virtual digital assets. They don't want to stop you from doing it, but if you do, you will be taxed at the highest rate and there will be no benefits. So that really decreases the risk versus return in such assets. So second thing is unlisted space is getting better for investments because more startups are happening there. The government is also pushing for startups. There's a lot of high success rate in startups and they've reduced the surcharge on exit of startups. So these are all good things from the investor's perspective and the founder's perspective as well. And the economy too, because eventually the economy also benefits from this. The one thing, the most worrisome factor from this budget is that because I feel the inflation is going to continue to rise, one cannot merely keep the money in the bank anymore. Keeping your money in like in FDs or just keeping it in the bank or those investments which are not able to beat inflation, if your investments are not growing at more than 8-9%, they're really going down, because that's inflation. You can call for yourself, inflation should be 10% for people like us. At least the government is saying inflation is on the region of 7%. So from that perspective, money is going to keep on decreasing because of inflation. So that's one thing one has to take care of. So planning for wise, smart investments is most important. So I hope this video gave you some insight of how the budget was. There wasn't much to it, but I tried to concise everything in a very short video for you. And if you feel you are ever in doubt, don't forget to ask the wise guy. God bless you. See you. Take care.